Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my impromptu live stream. I am all over the place, and what I mean by that is I'm currently streaming live to, there we go, as he said. I am on YouTube, I'm on my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, and I'm also on LinkedIn. And I'm currently also logged in and streaming live on Clubhouse. This is an impromptu Ask Me Anything session, and I'm just looking for a little banner that I created just a minute ago so that I can get that up here where people can learn how they can interact live. So, with that being said, I have just been interviewed for a live stream. Susan Taylor King invited me to be a guest on a live stream with her today. And every time I get off of a live stream, I'm like, okay, I've got the bug now. I've got to get back on the internet. I've got to stream some more. I paid for this premium version of StreamYard, which I love. I'm a huge fan of StreamYard. And I love doing Ask Me Anything sessions. Now, of course, what I will do is I will sit here and monologue for as long as it takes. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in here, instead of, I have to go in and I have to edit this. Ask Me Anything, either in the comments or ... And then boom, let's see if that works better. So ask me anything either in the comments, or if you'd like to join the live stream to ask your question, go to mindsetanswerman.com/join. I've never attempted this before, so we're going to see how it works out. If you are following me and watching me on Facebook, LinkedIn, actually Twitter, I don't think I get Twitter comments. So if you're on Twitter, I encourage you to hop over to one of the other live streams, or again, you can join me live by going to mindsetanswerman.com/join. So check this out. We've got our first comment. Eric Estrada. Hello, Eric. Great to have you here on the live stream. He's following via Facebook, and he says, hope you're doing well, friend, with 3 exclamation marks. And I am doing incredibly well. I have never been better. It gets better every single minute of the day. And Eric, I appreciate you joining me live. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the lower third. I don't need that. So I haven't been on here in quite some time. There we go. We'll just get rid of that. We'll just do the little scroller here. But I'm here to serve you. Now, if I need to, I can monologue. I can tell you what's going on in my life. I could tell you stories. I could tell you what I'm up to and all these other things. And I will certainly entertain you from the beginning of this live stream until the end of the live stream. But really what my intention to do is hope that God will bring people into my path that will see that I am live. And they're like, you know what? I have a question for you, and I'd love to ask you this question. There are a couple ways you can do that. If you are on Clubhouse, you can raise your hand, and I'll bring you up on the Clubhouse stage, and I believe the audio will be channeled all the way out to all of these video streaming services. By the way, welcome to Jason Smith. He says, hello, Cliff. I'm listening at work for now. Jesse is there. He says, hey, Cliff, I've got my first coaching client. Awesome. What can I do to leverage that to get more clients? Well, Jesse, let me just answer that. So Jesse's on Clubhouse, and he asked that in the chat. He's got his first coaching client. What can he do to leverage that to get more clients? The first thing that you can do is serve that person so incredibly well that they will never forget your coaching conversation for the rest of their life. Make that your absolute aim and your number one desire, and commit yourself to creating that kind of experience. Because what will happen if you do, that person's going to be talking to other people about the experience they had with you. And people talking about you is the number one way to get new clients. People will say, oh my gosh, who is this Cliff Ravenscraft guy? And they'll come to my website, or they'll look me up on social media, or somebody will say, here's a link to his podcast or something of that nature. So that's one way. Another way that you could do this is say, hey, was this incredibly powerful for you today? In fact, no, I wouldn't ask that question. I would actually ask this question at the end of the call. Can I ask you this? What's 1, 2, or 3 insights that you've gotten out of our coaching conversation today? And then I would have them share with you 1, 2, or 3 insights. And then I would ask them, what are 1, 2, or 3 actions that you are committing to taking over the next 2 weeks that you wouldn't have taken had you not had these insights? So have them give you 1, 2, or 3 actions that they're going to take. And then afterwards, you might ask this question. I don't typically do this, but maybe I should moving forward. We'll see. Hey, is there anybody that you know that could benefit from a conversation like you and I had today that I should be connected to? And just ask them for a referral. Ask them to make an email introduction. Those are just a few things that you could do to have your first coaching client lead to other options for you. So Jesse, thank you for that question. If anybody else on Clubhouse has a question, feel free to raise your hand there. And then, of course, we've got Eric here. He says, I've got a question when you're ready. So Eric, I see that you're on Facebook. You can either pop your question into the chat, and I know that you're probably about 20 to 30 seconds behind me telling you that, so I'll give you some time to do that. Or go to mindsetanswerman.com/join and come on in here on the screen if you'd like to. And that's open for anyone. Anybody who would like to ask me any question, just pop it into the chat wherever you're watching this. If you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, it will come in here and we will get to your question. Let's see here. We've got a question from Daniel. Are there parts of your business that you offload or contract to others because they're not in your sweet spot? How do you manage those? Daniel, I love this question. And the answer is yes. There are definitely several things that I will offload. I don't have any employees in my business. I like working with myself and for myself. Now, my wife and I are partners in our business together, and we do partner on many projects within our business, content creation, and also live events. And she does paid coaching and paid mastermind groups. I do paid coaching, paid mastermind groups. But when it comes to the operation, the marketing, all of this other stuff, I pretty much do most of the things in my business. But here are some of the things that I offload. I do not like payroll and accounting and all that other stuff. So I hire a CPA to make sure that the federal government, the state government, my local county government, I make sure that they get paid, but I don't bother myself with any of that. Once a month, my wife and I will go in and enter in our receipts and all of the payments that we made for software. We do our own bookkeeping once per month. But then once we've entered in all of that and confirmed that the business has generated enough revenue for us to get our paychecks, I just send that information over to my CPA, and they do my payroll for me. And they say, Cliff, here's all your details, and just make sure you enter these deductions from your bank account because we've made those payments for you to all of these government places. So I offload my accounting to my CPA. And then I just recently decided to hire somebody to create landing pages for my website. I am capable of creating a landing page. If you go to cliffravenscraft.com today, which is Friday, February 17th, 2023, I believe, it currently is a website that I developed. And if you browse to any of those pages, I designed all of those pages. If you go to, matter of fact, let me give you some other pages that you can check out that I have created. So I'm just trying to see if I can navigate my way through some things here. So if you go to trainwithcliff.com, definitely an awesome page to check out. This is one that I'm proud of. I would not say that Gay Hendricks talks in his book, The Big Leap, about the 4 different zones of work. You can work in zone 1, which is incompetence, zone 2, competence, zone 3, excellence, and then zone 4, genius. If you don't know about these different 4 zones and how to tap into your zone of genius, read the book, The Big Leap. If you don't get it after that, contact me for some coaching. It's one of my favorite things to coach people on, to help discover what is their zone of genius and how to learn to build a profitable professional career around that zone of genius. For me, I would say I am very highly competent at building a sales page like trainwithcliff.com. That sales page I created, and it does well, but is it excellent? Absolutely not. Is it something I enjoy doing? No. And so it's not in my zone of excellence. It's not in my zone of genius. And so it's in my zone of competence. That's something I definitely want to hire out to some other people. By the way, here's another page that I created, freethedreamcourse.com. freethedreamcourse.com. I created that page, and I would say that that page reflects just how much I don't enjoy creating pages, because I recently created that, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I would label that about a 4. It's pretty terrible. Is there any other pages that I would tell you about? Those are the ones that I would just share off the top of my head. So going back to the comment here, are there parts of my business that I offload and contract out to others? Yes. And I just I went to the Kajabi Facebook group. There's over 40,000 Kajabi users. Kajabi is who I use to do all of my online course software, and it has my website. It hosts all my podcasts. By the way, mindsetanswerman.com/Kajabi if you're interested. Let me go and put that in here. Linkman/Kajabi. So check this out. We'll add that banner and hit show. Mindsetanswerman.com/Kajabi. That is my affiliate link for Kajabi. And if you go to mindsetanswerman.com/Kajabi, you can learn about how it will host your website. You get landing pages. You can host courses. It'll do your email marketing. It will do sales funnels and automations, and it will host your podcasts. There's a lot of things that Kajabi does, and I love Kajabi. So I went into the Kajabi group just the other day, and I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody who specializes in creating and designing good-looking landing pages and sales pages for Kajabi. And instantly I had somebody reach out, and I'm scheduled to talk with her today. So super excited about that. Cheryl Plouffe is here. Hello, Cheryl. I am so delighted that you are tuning in to my live stream. Such an honor. She says, I love Kajabi. I do too. I was just looking. I applied for beta access to a new feature, and I had to fill out a form, and it said, what is your Kajabi account number? And it showed it in, like, I think 6 digits. So, as if you had a 6-digit number. And the fun part is I'm actually a 4-digit number, because I was a beta user when new Kajabi first came out, and I got in under a special program. So I love Kajabi. I'm thrilled that you love Kajabi as well. Cheryl, feel free to put a link to your Kajabi site here in the comments. I'll throw it up on the screen so we can take a look. Actually, you know what? I think I can do a screen grab. I'd love to look at your Kajabi site if you're interested in promoting it. If not, no big deal. If anybody would like to ask me a question, I know that Eric Estrada says, I've got a question when you're ready. Hey, Eric, if you're still there, I am definitely ready, my friend. Post your question or go to mindsetanswerman.com/join. It's in that little scrolling thing there. See it? mindsetanswerman.com/join. If you go there, you can come on live. Enter the studio with me. Come up on screen. And that's open to anyone. If you want to ask me a question here now, that's what I'm for. This is an Ask Me Anything session. All right, I'm going to look. There's another comment on Clubhouse, and It just says that some folks are sharing the room, which is awesome. So, and by the way, Heidi, I want to say welcome to you on Clubhouse. I see that you have joined and you're listening in. Awesome to have you here. Alrighty. With that being said, I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to wait to see if any more comments come in. The only reason I'm here is to be of service to others, to add value to your life. I was hoping that maybe somebody might just see that I'm live, see that it's titled Ask Me Anything, and say, you know, I'd like to ask Cliff a question. And if that's you, then ask me a question. Put it in the comment section. If you're on Twitter, I will not see it on Twitter. I don't know why that doesn't come through to StreamYard. So if you're on Twitter, go to youtube.com/CliffRavenscraft, and you will be able to post your comment there. Or go to mindsetanswerman.com/join. I believe you can even join me from your phone if anybody wants to test that. I don't feel like I need to do anything to impress people here but I do want to make sure that I am remaining entertaining for those of you who are just tuning in. You're doing some stuff and you got me on in the background. Jesse says, I have my first virtual speaking engagement coming up in the middle of the month. Any pointers for virtual speaking? I'll give you one pointer for virtual speaking. Don't look at the grid of people on Zoom or whatever program you're doing. Instead, make sure that you are looking at your camera the entire time. And this is especially if you're being interviewed and you're doing a panel. Now Jesse is, of course, is via audio and he's connected to me via Clubhouse. So he's not seeing this live stream, but Jesse, I know you're listening, you're hearing me. And so you can come and watch the replay of this video live stream on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/CliffRavenscraft. So here's what it looks like. If I am looking at my camera, it looks just like this. You can see I'm making eye contact with you, and I'm pretending that the eye of my camera is you. I'm looking straight into your eyes. But the minute I start looking down here, I see that I'm now looking at other people. And so now you might be interviewing me, or I might be answering a question from somebody where I'm doing this virtual speaking, and I'm looking at you on Zoom, and this is what it looks like when I'm talking to you on Zoom. All right, so if you can see the difference, this is why I would definitely make eye contact. By the way, real quickly, coming up, we've got Peggy Easterling. We've got Tim Montague have posted in the thing here, and we got Eric Estrada coming up. Let's see what Peggy has wrote. She says, I recorded a podcast with you and was my first podcast to record, and I have not released it yet. I was so scared during the event that I didn't offer much to the conversation. I have grown so much since then, and I'm grateful that you took the time with me. Well, Peggy, I was delighted to connect with you, and as far as I'm concerned, if you never want to release that thing, that's completely up to you. I didn't do it so that I would gain tons of exposure. Quite frankly, Peggy, I only accepted your interview request because I wanted to connect with you. And so if that was just a private conversation that was meant for me and you, I'm perfectly fine with it. Now, I noticed that you ended this comment right here with a period. There is no question mark. So if you have a question, feel free to ask me a question. But if you just wanted to let me know what's going on, I'm perfectly fine. I remember that conversation as if it were yesterday, and I was delighted to have it with you. All right, Tim says, when I'm feeling frustrated and want to shift to a place of love and gratitude, how to snap out and into a loving spirit. Hacks welcome. Thank you for all you do, Cliff. Tim, I love this question. Oh my gosh. So if I'm feeling frustrated, the first thing that I would do many times when someone is feeling frustrated, and in my past, when I would feel frustrated, I would start having thoughts. I would use this language with my thoughts, or I would have this language spoken out loud. I am so frustrated right now. I'm so upset with what happened. I can't believe that this person did this to me. This is so this is so wrong. I have been so what I would do, the first hack that I would do is move out of your attachment to your personality and do what's something called get into the seat of awareness. All right? So the seat of awareness. And it's as simple as saying it's like, wow, I'm currently aware that I am feeling frustrated. There is a big difference between I am frustrated and, wow, I am currently aware that I am having an emotional response that would be labeled frustrated. I am currently aware that someone has done these things. I'm currently aware that that has triggered this emotional response within me. I am also currently aware that what I am thinking is this. And I'm currently aware that I could ask myself, where does those thoughts come from? Are there beliefs that I have? What would I have to think? What would I have to believe for me to feel that way? Oh, I'm currently aware that I'm believing this. And then in the seat of awareness, I would ask myself, is this true? Well, whether it's true based upon my experience, is there an alternative way of seeing this? Is there a different perspective? Is there a different way of perceiving what has gone on here? I'm aware that there are other ways of seeing this. In my seat of awareness, I might ask myself, is there any way that I could see where this opportunity is going to cause me to grow and learn and in some way offer a seed of benefit for me or others down the road? Is there a way that I'm going to ultimately learn how to avoid this from happening again if it's something that I'm frustrated, that I had a frustrated emotional response to? So what I'm giving you here is this hack, as you had asked. It's called the seat of awareness. Instead of being in that, step out of it and become aware of it, because you are not your body. You are not your brain. You are the one who, your brain and your body is kind of like a vehicle for who you actually are as a spiritual being. So get into the seat of awareness. By the way, more questions are coming in, but we have Eric Estrada. Eric, I want to just ask you to turn your camera on. I saw you just a moment ago. Yep, he's there. So I'm going to add him here. Eric, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Cliff. Thanks for doing this. It's such a treat to talk to you finally in person. Well, not in person, but you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Hey, you said you had a question, so shoot, my friend. How can I be of service to you?
Yeah, so my question is, I guess, a strategy one. Um, Maybe not so much strategy, maybe more mindset, maybe a bit of both. I guess the question I have would be, if you're thinking about offering a service and you're trying to figure out, should I do it solo or should I go through a traditional publisher? Which would be sort of the best, I don't know, way of going about it? Do you rely on, yeah, I don't know. How do you think about that generally?
So let me ask you some clarifying questions here. So you said, when I'm thinking about starting a service, do I go through a publisher? Now, as soon as you said publisher, I'm thinking, is the service a book? Or are you talking about, should I go through, maybe what I'm thinking about creating is a book, and should I go through a publisher? Should I be self-published? So is that what you're asking me? I'm thinking about creating a book. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm thinking about a book that would sort of be like sort of like an assistance to people to figure out how to write better, how to write more effectively. But I'm not sure like 100%. What should I, should I go through? Should I publish this through like a big time publisher, or should I run it myself, or what would be the best strategy? So I'm trying to think more concretely, like, does a publisher give an author more of a platform in a space where they might not have a whole lot of traction, or should they sort of try to just go on their own and try to build a brand around that book or those ideas? Or what, any feedback? Yeah.
Well, there would still be some more clarifying
Hmm.
questions I would have for you before I give you feedback, because I can give you feedback not from my experience of writing a book, either self-published or published by a publisher, because I have done neither. However, I have many friends who are New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling authors, and I have friends who have published thousands, if you add them all together, of self-published books. And I've had tons of mastermind conversations with so many of them. So I can give you feedback, but I'd still like to ask you a couple more clarifying questions before I give you
Hmm.
that. What is it that you ultimately want to do with this book? I know that you want to have a book and you want it to be published, but why? What's the ultimate outcome? I know you want to teach people how to become more effective writers,
Hmm.
but once somebody has got your book and they've become a more effective writer, what do you want to happen as a result of them having read your book?
Yeah, so I have a lot of students who have struggled with writing in terms of, everything from, a basic paper in class to a dissertation to, a master's thesis. So I'm thinking this could be a real assistance to them. So like, these sorts of things actually get in the way of them finishing a course, finishing a program, those sorts of things. So I've seen it happen. And so I figured out a strategy to help students through that, like a definite, strategy. But for them, it would be finishing, which is, the world for some people. For me, I guess it would be many things, multiple things. The satisfaction of helping people, number one, of helping my students get to the next level, of finishing their programs, and so on. But also financial, something that I could do to help myself continue to be able to do this work, right? So if I could get some sort of financial return, it would allow me to continue to be able to help students to get these materials into the hands of faculty and other students that need them around the country. Because this is one thing that is a perpetual issue for people, whether it's the students completing their programs or faculty trying to help students who don't have the time to hold their hand through the writing process, have their own challenges at hand. So it would be something like that, to be able to equip people and also be able to continue to do that work. So those are some of the
Okay, so what I heard
yeah.
here is there's definitely the main driving force. I want to be of value to these students, and I want to help them finish whatever that is. You know that I want
Mhm.
to help them, and so being of service seems to be the number one motivating factor. Now, financial income is also a motivating factor. There's nothing wrong with that at all,
Mhm.
and so you'd like to be able to reap the benefits financially from having a published book as well. Anything else other than those two things that you'd like as an outcome?
Well, those would be big, being able to, get,
That's
I
good.
think getting not only the book, but also maybe creating an online program to
Okay,
help
so
students. Yeah,
so you are looking for not just the income from the book, but you are also potentially looking for people who have discovered you through the book to purchase maybe an online program and other products and services.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
I have enough there. The next question I have for you is: do you already have a platform of followers?
I do not. I do not.
Okay.
So,
Traditional big time publishers are not going to typically bring on a brand new author. Have you written books before and published before?
I have not. I've
Yeah.
not. I've done small things,
So,
translations and things like that.
so the big time publishers are typically looking for somebody who already have a platform or a following of their own.
Mhm.
And there are exceptions to this, so don't just take that and say, "Well, let me forget about that."
Mhm.
No, by all means, go out there and if you want to do a traditionally published book, by all means, go out and be the exception to the rule. But what I will tell you, my experience from talking to all these people, and I also know a couple of people who work for these big time publishers, and you know that I'm great friends with Michael Hyatt, who was the CEO and of Thomas Nelson Publishing, which is one of the largest publishers for a while. So what I know is they typically want you to have an audience and they want you to be able to use your base as the foundation for the beginning groundwork success and fan club that helps get word of mouth out. You know, if you have a large network and a large following, you can go out and do what's called the speaker circuit. You can be a guest on 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 podcasts over the 3-month launch period as people are making pre-orders, and you've got hundreds if not thousands or maybe even tens of thousands people on your mailing list who have decided that, hey, we're going to help you get the word out about this. We're going to promote this thing like crazy. Publishers are looking for people who have that kind of ability. What a publisher does bring to the table, a traditional publisher, the big ones, is they can amplify what you already have. So they're going to have techniques and marketing strategies that are proven to work because they've been doing this for tens of years, hundreds of years, and they know how to market things. They know exactly where to go, how to get this done. They've got relationships to get you in front of other people. So you're when you're looking at a big time publisher, you're going to find more success potentially if you already have a large following. And a large following could be as 1,000, what Gary Keller, I think is who his name was. You can do 1,000 true fans. Just Google search that and you'll find what I'm talking about. But if you have 1,000 true fans, not just 1,000 people on your mailing list, not 1,000, but 1,000 true fans. And a true fan is somebody who loves you. They follow you everywhere you go. They listen to all the content. They show up to your live streams. They buy your products and services. They come to your live events. They buy your books. They buy whatever. So if you have 1,000 true fans, you probably could pull off a traditionally published book. Shy of that, I would say that if you want to go the traditional publisher route, maybe a smaller publisher in a niche. So, for example, you're very much talking about an educational niche, university level, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be. There are a few university presses that focus on
Yep.
academic writing. So, yeah.
So now those publishers, traditional publishers, are likely looking for somebody like you who has some amazing piece of educational reading content, and they already have their audiences who are desperately in need of it. And so that is a very real possibility for you, and one that I would urge you to at least go out and pursue. The great news is that this could be a method, and I would not count it on as the only method, but it would be a method of beginning to build your community, your following. So that could be something that you do. And then, of course, if you go the self-published route, a couple of things that I would encourage you to do is to find some people professors of schools who would ideally choose to force their students to buy your book for their course. And if you could get one, two, three, or four, or maybe even 5 professors who would agree to use your book as a requirement for their course, a self-published route would be a great way to go with something like that. And then once that course, goes through with great success, and the students are raving about how well this book helped them get what they wanted to get, professors do life with other professors, and it's like, oh my gosh, you've got to do this, and those students will go out and tell other people and say, hey, check out this book. So those are my thoughts off the top of my head.
Those sound like both like win-win scenarios, just maybe a different type of strategy to the similar ends.
Yep.
So yeah,
Is
that's
this
really
helpful to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Awesome.
yeah. Well, I don't want to take up many more of your time, but thank you for being so generous and sharing some thoughts with all of us.
Well, thank you you're the very first person I've ever brought into StreamYard from this, mindsetanswerman.com/join. I normally I have somebody that it's like, okay, here's the link. We're going to do this thing together. But I wondered if anybody would actually click the link and come through and do this. And you're doing this by telephone, obviously, and it worked just fine.
Yeah, just the cell phone. So I'm on the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, so it's makes it easy to log in, and it
Do
was
you want to
very very
promote? Do
simple.
you want to promote any website or podcast or anything that you have?
No, no, not I don't. It's really okay.
All right.
I got my hands full, but yeah. So I'm full-time faculty, so I probably should get back to grading, but it was just so cool to finally chat with you, man. It's I think I probably speak for many listeners out there who've listened to you over the years who've probably never had the chance to reach out, but yeah, we appreciate you a ton. So whenever you put something out there, we listen and benefit. So, but thank you so much for bringing me on, and hopefully we can chat again in the future sometime.
Absolutely. Eric, it is an honor, and I thank you so much for jumping in here live today, and thank you for your
Yeah,
question.
you're
All right.
welcome. Have a
See
great
you
day.
later.
Bye bye.
Alrighty, that was awesome. I'm so thrilled that this worked. I just had the idea. This was like 15 minutes before I went live today. I decided to do this. Hey, we've got some more stuff here in the comments. You can feel free to leave me a comment here on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Let me just find out if there's anything going on here. Nope. Let's see here. Entertaining, isn't it? Wonderful. Great to have those of you who are joining here on Clubhouse. They are listening in audio only. If anybody on Clubhouse wants to come up and ask me anything, feel free to raise your hand on Clubhouse. I can bring you in via audio, and the folks who are listening in on all the different streaming platforms will be able to hear your voice and us interacting. If you want to join me live here on screen, just as Eric just did just a moment ago, head over to mindsetanswerman.com/join while this live stream is live, and you can join me right here on screen. Or you can ask me any question you want on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube in the comments, and I'll get to it. So I'm going to take a drink, and then we're going to go to Danny, who is next. And I think it might be just a comment, but we'll find out. Danny says, "Hey, Cliff, keep up the great work. I have a podcast with my daughter called Coffee with Dan and Sam podcast. I have been doing podcasts for a few years because of you when you had Podcast Answer Man." Well, Danny, I am so delighted that you're here. Congratulations on creating content that is something that you're passionate about, and I love that you're doing it with your daughter. That is so awesome. All right, so Peggy had left a comment previously. Now it looks, I see a question mark, so we're going to get a question. So, in reference to my statement about the podcast, do you get into spaces where you feel intimidated? How do you control your thoughts in that space to stay out of the fight, flight, or freeze part of the brain and show up as your best self? Well, Peggy, I love this question. Let me go ahead and bring that off the screen here. One of the things that I would encourage you to consider, it's a very challenging book for many, but it is a book called Map of Consciousness Explained by Dr. David R. Hawkins. I can't remember which, but anyway, Map of Consciousness Explained. And in this, matter of fact, I'll pull it up here and I'll show you on my screen the map of consciousness. So bear with me as I pull this up over on a different screen. And let's see here. I need to do map. There we go. I've got the map of consciousness here, and I'm going to hit view original. And I want to change the size of that browser window. All right, so with that being said, let me hit present. And I'm going to share screen. And I want to share a window. And boom. That is not what I want. All right, so give me just a second. I'm going to find a better way to do this. I promise it'll be worth it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that image down to my desktop, and I'm going to open with preview. There we go. This is going to be much better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit stop share, and I'm going to hit present, and I'm going to do screen share, window, and we're going to do this. Ha! Look at that right there. Right over there. That is the map of consciousness. Now, what Dr. Hawkins talks about is the different levels of emotional state management. And it starts all the way down at the bottom: guilt, shame, apathy, grief, fear. And then as you get up higher, desire, which, by the way, desire is a whole lot better than apathy. Anger, while I don't like to be angry a lot, angry is definitely better than grief. And having a little pride, while it's not desirous to have a lot of pride, it is actually better than apathy and grief and guilt and shame. So as you move up higher, you'll see, you move up this list, you will find that the emotional states offer a better experience of life. So what happens is when you go in here and you've got this thoughts of being intimidated, well, that has something down to, it's got to have something down here. You'd have to be in this lower level of consciousness for you to be able to experience that intimidation. I'm not worthy. There's some level of maybe guilt or shame. There's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of pride, that I'm afraid of what people will think about me if I say something and it doesn't impress them, and all of these other things. So what Dr. David R. Hawkins said is that there's a scale of these emotional states. And while these are just arbitrary distinctions that he gave as far as calibrations and giving a number distinction. For example, you can see that shame calibrates down all the way at a 20, and courage is 200. And if you look over to the right-hand side, it says that victim/abuser consciousness. And over on all the way to the left-hand side, this might be called lower ego self in some circles. In religious circles, you might call this area hell or purgatory. So it depends on if you're coming from a religious, spiritual perspective, a psychological perspective, or whatever. We all have this experience of being able to travel up and down in levels of consciousness. In his book, Map of Consciousness Explained, Dr. Hawkins says that a majority of the world's population calibrates below 200. So if you were to tune in to the news media, chances are you're going to find a lot of fear-driven narratives, and people are tuned in and taught and confronted with fear all of the time. A lot of the world's religious organizations sometimes will, unfortunately, promote a kind of a fear-based system of beliefs, or some guilt and shame systems of beliefs. And so what happens is people get stuck down in these lower levels of consciousness. And so if you get stuck down here, it's going to be very challenging to get out of that fight or flight, because down here you're in what's called survival mode. You're trying to make sure that you have some level of comfort or certainty that you're okay. And so when you're feeling intimidated at some psychological level, you have some beliefs or thoughts or emotions that are telling you that your life is somehow in danger. And that's what is causing this. So really what needs to happen for you to get beyond that mentality, that mindset, is you have to elevate your level of consciousness. If you could have just a little bit of courage, you know what? Maybe somebody might not like what I say. Maybe somebody will laugh at me. Maybe somebody say, "Who invited her here? I can't believe she's not qualified for this." Do you have the courage to handle that? Maybe, and by the way, anytime that you put yourself out there, you likely will, in our world today, be criticized. It's one of the reasons why the fear exists, is because there's a lot of evidence to support. I can't begin to tell you the number of times where I, in the past, have been incredibly critical of others, judging them. And it reminds me of this Bible verse that says, listen, don't judge others, because by the measure that you judged others, that judgment will be measured to you. And so through time, I learned I want to stop judging others. I just want to be able to have neutrality. And then if you can get up here and just once I have courage and neutrality, I'm okay. That people are going to be who they are. I'm not going to have my feelings, my emotional states be swayed super great because people are praising me. I'm not going to feel so low because people are saying negative things about me. That's neutrality. Having willingness to get out there and fail and to learn. I was like, listen, I know I'm not perfect, but you know what? I'm willing to go out there, put my best self out, do the best I can with what I have to work with. And as long as I do that, I know that I might fail. I might be criticized, but I will accept it. Do you see how all of a sudden we're getting all the way up here? And then if you can get yourself into a place of feeling connected with God, or some people will say source, or whatever that is for you. For me, I'm a Christian and I have a connection with God. And so I go into a time of meditation and I connect with God and I experience inner light. And I feel a sense of, wow, I am worthy of this opportunity. I was created for a purpose. I have been given experiences of life where I have something valuable to offer. And because of this inner light and this inner wisdom, and I have an inner love for myself and also a love for others, that I am willing to, with God, now I'm all the way up to oneness. With God, I will go. And with God, all things are possible. And so I would encourage you to check out this thing called Levels of Consciousness. It's called Map of Consciousness Explained by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Anyway, awesome stuff. Thank you for the question, Peggy. And by the way, I want to let you know that one of the ways that I am able to do this, if you go back to Tim Montague, he asked a question earlier, and I talked about that seed of awareness. If you were not in the room when I talked about seed of awareness, go back and into the replay, go back and listen to how to get into a seat of awareness, and you will find yourself being able to raise that level of consciousness. Another thing that you can do and study is the art and practice of meditation. All right, we're going to move to another live attendee here on the stream. Kirk Anderson, how are you, brother?
Good to see you, Cliff.
It is great to see you. It has been way too long since you and I last chatted. How are you?
I'm doing great. I had to look back at my emails to see when we first connected, and I think it was back with 48 days to the life you live. Is that what it was?
The 48 days to the work you love.
Yeah. Well, there was that website that Dan Miller created.
And, the Ning community.
Yeah. So it's been a long time, but good to see you. I just went through a training with Ecamm, and that's the streaming service that I use for what I do. And so it's kind of neat to see all the bells and whistles that you have as well. But I just I'm doing a kind of a news / public interest story on a news site called drydenwire.com, and they have they're considered to be the #1 online news service in Northwest Wisconsin. Okay. And so I've been just doing a show by my own name, Kirk Anderson Show, and just curious, like how you would recommend getting interesting topics and people to make it interesting, and then to hone the skills with the live broadcasts. Like even now, I'm struggling to look at that camera and not look at your picture. So any advice for live broadcasting and just coming up with good themes, kind of around the anywhere from like feel good things, people that are doing interesting things in the community, and then some, because I'm a technology and business guy, some things around that, as well as local news.
Awesome. Well, let's see here. As far as coming up with topics, are you familiar with ChatGPT yet?
I've heard of it, but I have not broached it yet.
All right, so I'm going to show you something. Let's see here. I have let's call it a podcast. It doesn't matter what it is, but you're doing this thing. You're broadcasting content to them, correct?
Correct. With in studio or online guests.
Okay, so I have a podcast. All right. My target audience is, tell me.
It would be people. Well, it's kind of geographical because they're people in Wisconsin in the 5-county area. So
My target audience is geographical, with people in Wisconsin.
yeah.
I don't know how to spell Wisconsin. Isn't that wonderful? There we go. Wisconsin. And any place else?
No, it would probably
Okay.
be
Okay.
yeah.
With people in Wisconsin. All right. I typically talk about what sort of topics?
Uh, public service type things. So my last show that I had was had to do with a tiny house community that someone was building locally, and previous to that was a mentoring program.
Okay, so local businesses and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Organizations that, let me just, I have never been great at typing live while, thinking and
It's a lot
typing
of
while
stress there.
talking. There's no stress. That we'll get back to that because I know that was another topic for you. I typically talk about local businesses and organizations that offer wonderful products and services for local local residents. Can you give me a list of 15 topics that I can use for my show? Boom. Check this out. Are you ready? Number 1, exploring local farms and their fresh produce. Highlighting the history of a particular town or city in Wisconsin. Interviewing local artists and sharing their work. Discussing the best outdoor recreational opportunities in Wisconsin. Featuring small businesses that specialize in unique Wisconsin products like cheese or beer.
That's good.
Providing updates on local government and politics. Talking with entrepreneurs who have started successful businesses in Wisconsin. Highlighting the best places to go camping in Wisconsin. Interviewing local chefs and discussing their favorite Wisconsin cuisine. Spotlighting upcoming festivals and events in Wisconsin. Discussing the best ways to support local nonprofits and charitable organizations. Providing an overview of the Wisconsin craft beer scene. Highlighting local musicians and their performances. Interviewing athletes and coaches from Wisconsin's high school and college sports teams. Discussing Wisconsin's natural landmarks such as the Wisconsin Dells or Door community or county.
Yeah. Oh, I was just in Wisconsin Dells. Wow, so this is the AI. This is just AI.
This is AI, absolutely. So now, the cool thing is let's see here. I'm interviewing a local restaurant owner. Okay, and Cliff's spelling right in there again. Love it. All right, so see, by the way, this is one of the things that is a demonstration for Peggy. See, I am not so concerned about impressing people with my spelling skills because I rely on grammar checking and spell typo checking and all this stuff. My spelling is atrocious. I was never great in grade school getting those spelling tests right. But here I am doing this live in front of an internet audience. It's no big deal. So I'm interviewing a local restaurant owner for my podcast. I want to help my audience know about his, what he offers and convince them to go try his food. That would be my desired outcome. Can you give me 10 potential 10 there we go. Potential. There we go. I also need glasses on, but anyway, can you give me 10 potential questions that will pull out the best responses? All right, so here are the questions you're going to ask. Can you tell us about the history of your restaurant and what helped inspired you to start it? How would you describe the style of food that your restaurant serves, and what sets it apart from other dining options in the area? Can you highlight some of the most popular dishes on your menu and what makes them stand out? How do you source your ingredients, and what steps do you take to ensure that they are fresh and of high quality? Can you discuss any unique seasonal menu items that are currently available or coming up in the near future? Has your restaurant adapted to the challenges of the past year, and what measures have you taken to ensure safety of your customers and staff of your customers? Can you talk about any upcoming events or promotions that your restaurant will be offering? How do you ensure that your restaurant provides excellent customer service, and steps to take to address any customer concerns? Can you discuss any community involvement or charitable activities that your restaurant participates in? Finally, why should somebody come try your restaurant, and what can they expect from their dining experience?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
The possibilities here are absolutely infinite.
So what is the cost of something to use that
So
tool?
it's free. Go to chat.openai.com and you can get a free account. And if you log in during normal business hours, chances are most of the time it's going to be unavailable. So if you want to be able to do it and access it for free, you're likely going to need to sign in on the weekends or at night or late hours or something like that. Or you can, for $20 a month, have ChatGPT Plus, and it basically puts you ahead of everybody. So ever since I signed up as a Plus user for ChatGPT, I've never had a problem getting logged in. Are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. So I answered. Hopefully, I think one of your questions was, how can I come up with content? What topics and stuff like that. Is this getting your wheels spinning about the possibilities of using a very inexpensive and potentially even free artificial intelligence tool to help you create an endless number of topics for your show, and for every topic that you do, an endless source of the right questions to ask whenever you have a guest on your show?
Yeah, and that was like super specific. That list hit on many of the topics I've thought about and I'm involved in. So I'm the mayor of St. Croix Falls, where I live, and so part of what I do is I do talk about politics, and it hit on that. We have a lot of the recreation things to talk about, and yeah, I mean, that was amazing.
If you want to do solo episodes from time to time, you can have it give you an outline for any topic you want. It'll write the whole thing for you. It'll tell you, hey, what was the place that you just went? The Dells or something like that? I can't remember what it was called.
Say that again.
What was the place that you said you just visited?
Wisconsin Dells. It's
Okay,
one of the
Wisconsin Dells.
biggest water parks and recreation.
So check this out. I'm going to go back and I'm going to share my screen again. And I know nothing about the Wisconsin Dells. I've never even heard of it before. But check this out. I'm going to go up here to Wisconsin Dells. All right. I would like to do a podcast episode about, let's see here, episode about Wisconsin Dells. Can you give me an outline of for an entire podcast episode on this topic? Are you ready? Here we go. So first, we're going to briefly introduce Wisconsin Dells as a popular tourist destination in Wisconsin and provide some background information on the town's history and attractions. So section number 1, the water parks. We're going to discuss the Wisconsin Dells' reputation as the water park capital of the world and highlight some of the most popular water parks in the area. Interview special. We're going to actually no. It's okay. So I'm going to hit stop generating. No. Please give me an outline. Actually, here. Please write me a blog post that would give 5 reasons why people should visit. And then I'm going to hit paste. Wisconsin Dells. Okay, here it goes. 5 reasons to visit the water park capital of the world. If you're looking for a family-friendly vacation destination, look no further than Wisconsin Dells. Known as the water park capital of the world, Wisconsin Dells is the home to over 20 water parks and a variety of other attractions that are sure to keep you and your family entertained. Here are a few of the reasons why Wisconsin Dells should be on your travel bucket list. Number 1, the water parks. With so many water parks to choose from, Wisconsin Dells is the perfect destination for water lovers. From indoor parks that are open year-round to outdoor parks that offer thrilling water rides, there's something for everyone. Whether you want to ride the tallest water slide or float down a lazy river, Wisconsin Dells has you covered there. The second reason are the attractions. In addition to the water parks, Wisconsin Dells offers a variety of other family-friendly attractions, from theme parks and museums to live entertainment and mini golf. There's always something to do in Wisconsin Dells. One popular attraction is the Wisconsin Deer Park, where visitors can feed and pet deer and other wildlife. Then, of course, the great outdoors. If you're looking to get outside and explore, Wisconsin Dells has plenty of options there. With the Wisconsin River running through town, there are plenty of opportunities for boating and fishing. The area is also home to several state parks. Make sure that you include Devil's Lake State Park, which offers hiking and camping opportunities, and the dining. No vacation is complete without good food, and Wisconsin Dells have plenty of options here for you to choose from classic Wisconsin cheese curds to the gourmet burgers and everything in between. There's something for every palate. Don't miss out on the famous fudge shops either. And then the 5th reason, the accommodations. Whether you're looking for a luxurious resort or a budget-friendly hotel for you and your family, Wisconsin Dells has plenty of options for accommodations. Many of the water parks offer on-site lodging, but there are also many other hotels, motels, and vacation rentals to choose from. You know, Wisconsin Dells is a must-visit destination for you, your family, if you're looking for fun and an affordable vacation. With so many water parks, attractions, these outdoor activities, there's something for everyone in Wisconsin Dells. Book your trip today and experience the water park capital of the world for yourself. Dude, I could edit that and put that out as a podcast episode of your show. Do you realize that?
That blows my mind, because I've been to Wisconsin Dells. That's where the conference centers are. So whenever I go to a conference to speak or to attend, it's always there. And that nailed it. Like, I don't know where they pulled that from or how AI is so stinking good, but that's amazing. Like, that blows my mind.
That, my friend, what I just showed you doesn't even scratch the surface of what AI can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Get on board or not have a job.
You know, there are a lot of people that are, and again, we were talking previously about levels of consciousness. There's a lot of people, oh my gosh, here's why you should be afraid of AI, because fear-based consciousness. Everybody, you know, not everybody, but a lot of people are down there. But here's why AI is great. Wow. Imagine, instead of sitting there trying to twiddle your fingers coming up with the next 10 weeks worth of content, what you're going to talk about, how about creating it in 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine? It's, you know what? I can create 6 months worth of content in a weekend using AI.
So is AI, do you know, like, copyright versions of that? I mean, is that
No, you'll. I would encourage you to do your research on that, but you can even ask ChatGPT, "Can I use the above in a podcast? Do I have to credit you?" And blah blah blah. And it tells you that, listen, this is I generated this information. It is pulling from lots of places, but the words in the combinations, what AI has done. Imagine you would have wanted to create that content about Wisconsin Dells.
mm-hmm.
Now imagine you go and visit Wisconsin Dells, and you check out all these places, and then you read 15 other blog posts about it. You read about the Wikipedia article about it, and you read a couple newspaper articles about it. You read a couple magazine articles about it. All of that online. Let's just say you spent about 3 weeks researching and all of that stuff, but then you wrote it in your own words. In essence, AI just did that.
Mm-hmm. In 10 seconds.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yep.
That's great. No, that's a good tool. I'm signing up as we're doing it. It's just blowing my mind.
Sweet.
I probably know the answer, but just for validation on it, getting better at the whole interview process is I've done podcasting through your tutorials in the past, and now with the whole onslaught of video and live video, not saying or trying to follow along on multiple streams and still look at the camera, and all those different things can be a challenge. Is it practice makes perfect, or are there some advice that you could give to someone who's trying to hone their skills and do a better job?
So the first is definitely, the more practice you have, the better you'll become. But just because you're doing it over and over again, that alone isn't enough, in my opinion. My recommendation is, for the first few hundred podcast episodes and or live streams that you do, that you go all the way back into the beginning of the stream and watch it in real time, 1x speed.
Mm-hmm.
And make note of everything you don't like. In fact, I can tell you right now, for the next 3 minutes, for the rest of our conversation, what I can make a commitment to you is that you will not find a single It just won't happen. The other thing that you'll notice is that when you're talking, you're not going to hear anything called a verbal affirmation. So one of the things that I recognized is, when I was interviewing people, I would be like, mm-hmm, yep, mm-hmm, oh, yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I realized just how annoying that is. The other thing is that an occasional is fine, but the frequency at which I would use was utterly ridiculous. So one of the reasons why I'm able to communicate, and you'll notice there's not a single coming out of my mouth except for when I'm intentionally saying the word It's because I've done several thousand. Matter of fact, I'm at 4,700 podcast episodes that I've produced into the world. And I don't like to put out a lot of content with those in it. So I will go in and I will edit out about 90 to 95% of all the out of everything I create. So if you think about 4,700 podcast episodes, all of them at least about an hour, then you can probably guess that I had to do a lot of editing of out.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Robbins talks about leverage. If you want to create behavioral change, you have to have leverage. And what he means by leverage is, you have to have an association in your brain, a connection in your mind that says saying equals massive, immediate, unbearable pain.
Mhm.
And not saying equals massive, immediate pleasure. So for me, showing up on a live stream, knowing that this thing right here is not going to be edited, that I could actually have people watch this entire conversation with Kirk, and not once will I have any fear that there was a ton of ums that are in there that are exposing how much I have this unconscious habit of saying So
Yeah.
just my neuroassociation of what it means to say consistently is a motivating factor for me to be consciously aware of the words that I'm saying. There's another technique, and it's becoming very comfortable with silence. Now, if you were to go back and watch the replay, you may not have recognized that I was doing this. It's called the pregnant pause.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is like, for example, you just said, and I just sat there for a second. And it's okay. The world will continue to spin around the sun if I don't fill every single second with some sort of auditory signal.
I think that's probably normal in normal conversations, but I will admit that I do watch video podcasts or a lot of things in 1.5 speed, and there is a sense that that's how you're supposed to talk in a podcast, and that if you're not going through it fast, you're doing it too slow. And so sometimes I need to go back and listen at normal speed to realize that that's not how they talk. They're not just on an energy drink. They're actually, I'm speeding them up for the sake of time, but normal people talk at a normal pace, and it's okay.
Well, also, most people, normal conversation, the average podcaster says all of the time. But even then, just because they do that, this is all about intentionality. It's about being consciously aware of what you want to create. And it is about the stories that we're telling ourselves. It's like, hey, I've got to fill all of this time. Now, I could set an intention right now. So, for example, I'm going to begin speaking really quickly, and I want to make sure that I fill every single moment of this time. I'm not going to leave any free air, but I promise you're still not going to hear a single I'm not going to be sitting here thinking about what to say next, because I have trained myself to communicate in such a way that I can think on the fly. I can come up with 4 reasons why my house is great. Number 1, I love the fact that it's shelter. It doesn't matter to me if it's raining or snowing or if it's 98 degrees outside. I'm warm in my house during the winter. And, did you see that one? I did do an I caught that one. I was conscious of it. But you know what? I'm okay with not being perfect. The question is am I going to string about 10 or 15 of the ums together? And I'm not. I'm still going to continue to go on. But I'm thrilled that my home provides me shelter from the heat during the summer and also provides me warmth from the cold. I love that my house has running water and indoor plumbing. I can't imagine what life was like when people had to run outside to an outside hole in the ground to poop or pee. Oh my gosh. Do you know how amazing my home is? Number 3, I love the fact that I have an office in my basement on a lower level that is completely separated from everything else. It's like I travel to work every day, but my commute is like 5 minutes. I could give you 2 more reasons why I love my house, and you'll notice that I've not left any silence, but I still, in all of that, go back, there was only one and I was consciously aware of it when it happened.
Yeah, I think, I like to have a conversation when I do interviews, and so some of the feedback I've received from the person that I work with is that I don't take control of the conversation as much, and I let them talk. He's definitely the opposite, where he dominates, and it's sometimes hard to get a word in edgewise. And I wait for that natural pause to put my input in. And if it's not there and someone just keeps talking, you might not say a whole lot in your interview. So it's a it's a new thing. Video is a lot more challenging. I did a show called Rotary Club Radio for my Rotary Club, and I edited out all the back in the day, and so you can't do that so easily with video. So you just kind of got to roll with the punches. And live is more challenging. It's a lot of fun, but it's more challenging.
Yeah. I love live. It's a ton of fun. The other thing that I will just say is when you're not doing live, when you get into that situation where the person just goes on and on and on and you don't want to cut them off, the great news is that you can edit afterwards.
Yep. That's great.
Yep.
Well, this has been fun.
Kurt,
I certainly
thank you.
appreciate it, and I love that you do these things. I've been following you I look back, 2010 is when we connected.
That is awesome.
So it's been a long time.
13 years. That is amazing. I remember when we first started. I think it was Andy Traub that first introduced us to each other.
Yeah. So back in the day, he was doing some training online before you did all your steps into the online training, and Andy and I co-taught some things, and you were one of the co-teachers, and then you exploded in with all your training. So you took it to the next level. So good job.
I remember it like it was yesterday, my friend. Kirk, it's always a blessing to talk to you. Thank you for coming on here today.
You bet. Have a great day. We'll look forward to talking to you later.
All right. We're going to continue on here. LinkedIn user, and it did not put your name here. It says, Cliff, you've changed my life. Are you open to discussing success mindset in front of 90,000 real estate agents? And the answer to that question is yes. So I'm not sure who posted that, but feel free to please reach out to me. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to connect with you. Let's see. Amazing Mr. Jesse. It's Jesse over here now. I would be happy to have him on my podcast when he is ready to promote his book. So just go ahead and connect with Eric Estrada. You can look him up on, I think, where did Eric come from? So Eric was on Facebook. So probably on my personal profile over at facebook.com/Cliff Ravenscraft. Go into the comment section for that live stream, and you'll see Eric Estrada's profile listed there. Sweet. All right. Peggy says parallel with Maslow's thinking. Anyway, love it. Awesome. Boone says it was so fast you didn't even get the of the Thank you, Boone. So glad to see you here. And let's see here. Troy Heinrichs says, hey, buddy, are you watching The Last of Us? I'm not, but Troy, guess what I am watching? Do you want to know? The Blacklist. Stephanie and I just started The Blacklist probably about a month ago, and we just finished season 4. We are loving it. Yes. Troy says, yes. We are absolutely loving The Blacklist. Thank you for, and by the way, you're the reason why we're watching it. Jason Smith inside of Clubhouse posted a thing here. It says, can you share about transcendental meditation? I've heard you mention it before. Can you share about how you practice and what the benefits are in your practice? So, yes, transcendental meditation is one of many types of meditation that I do. And so I probably incorporate at least 10 or 15 different types of meditation into what I offer or what I personally practice. Transcendental meditation, and I have not researched transcendental meditation, so everything I know is just in context of the people and environments where I've been influenced. But the idea of transcendental meditation in my mind would be to put an end to the trance state of believing that I am my body, and putting an end to the trance of all of the accumulated beliefs that I'm holding on to. It's the attachment that I am Cliff Ravenscraft. I am husband. I am father. I am a business owner. I am a child of a biological dad who was a drug addict and an alcoholic from the time I was born. I'm a human who had been bullied. I was a kid that was bullied. I lived most of my life as an incredibly obese person. I'm a person who today has had a radical physical transformation. I'm a person today who does this kind of work. And these are all things that are part of my ego personality, but they are not who I am. So what I've come to understand is that I am a divine spiritual being here in this vehicle, this body that you see, this accumulation of matter. And it has been assembled to give me an experience in this physical world. And so I'm having this life experience. And my true identity is spirit. My true identity is soul. And so transcendental meditation is putting an end to the trance of all of the thoughts I have about who I am here in this physical world. And as a result of that, it gets me free of all of those voices in my head and all of the narratives and stories of everybody else that's just talking. And in a transcendental state, I'm able to just witness and experience what is without having any judgment. I don't need to put labels on everything. I don't need to assign meaning to anything. I can just be aware of what is. And neither have, I don't have to judge it as good or bad. I don't have to judge myself as good or bad, as worthy or unworthy. It just, everything is what it is. That is a transcendental state. In a transcendental state, I can experience what I would define in my own words as oneness with God. So yeah, that's the best way that I'll just describe it here. I mean, I could go into much more detailed information about transcendental meditation. I'm sure you could go to ChatGPT or Google and do a search for what is transcendental meditation. But for me, let me just explain to you what it's like if I do what I consider to be transcendental meditation. It's one of those situations where I will sit in a meditation posture. For me, that's just sitting cross-legged, probably on a meditation pillow. I want to be as comfortable as possible. I do get my back straight and aligned because I do want to be able to bring what's called life force energy that's within my body, and I want it to rise all the way from the base of my spine all the way up to the crown of my head. There is a very real reason for this. And when I do that, and I can actually go within and focus on the inside world of my imagination or the world of my subconscious mind, and then also get into an altered state where I can actually tap into what's called the superconscious mind. So there's different brainwave states. So what I do is I sit in a meditation state. Starting out, I'm in a beta brainwave state, so I'm very much focused, and I can hear, people in the house. I can hear construction crews outside or whatever the case may be. So I'm in a beta wave state where I'm very much consciously aware and mostly focused on the outside world. But then in meditation, I can start focusing on my breath. And if you ever do guided meditations, they'll talk to you about focus on your breath and feel the coolness as it comes down and close your eyes. And so what you're doing is you're moving your awareness, your attention, your focus from what's going on outside to what's going on inside of your body. And when you're doing that, that puts you immediately into alpha state brain waves. So you're slowing down your brain's thought patterns. And then if you go far enough, you can go all the way into a theta brainwave state. And when you get into a theta brainwave state, now you're mostly focused on the internal world. If you've really practiced in meditation, you can be consciously awake but be in delta brainwave states, which is basically what you're in when you're unconscious while you're sleeping at night, where you're completely physically unaware of the world that you live in. You are only in your subconscious. You are not in your conscious physical five senses reality. Your consciousness, your awareness is only in your imagined world. So that's that's the best that I'm going to be able to do on the fly, off the top of my head to explain it. So what I'm doing is I put myself into what's called an altered state of consciousness, which is just to say I slow down the processing of my brain. I go inside and I detach myself from all of my five senses, and I allow myself to go internally, where Jesus said, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about what you'll eat. Don't worry about what you'll drink. Don't worry about anything. Be anxious about nothing. Instead, seek first the kingdom of God. And then another place he was asked, "Hey, when will the kingdom of God appear?" And he says, "Listen, I'll tell you the truth. Nobody's going to be able to say, 'Look up in the sky, there it is,' or tell you the day and the hour, because the kingdom of God is within you or among you." And so the kingdom of God, and what Jesus was talking about, you'll notice that there are several different places, and I'm only referring to Jesus because I'm a Christian, but Jesus often, it's referenced that he went into the desert before his public ministry, and he went out to pray and to meditate. And it says early in the morning, before it was light, he would get up and go and pray. And I believe that he would probably be in a prayer. And he says, "Listen, when I go into meditation, I am one with the Father." And he says, "I only say what I hear the Father say. I only do what I see the Father do." And that's because in that oneness with the Father. And I know that as a Christian in the past, I had often been conditioned to think maybe stay away from all of this stuff, especially this transcendental, this whole idea to be without thought. And I certainly respect that. And if that's where anybody who's listening to this come in, follow your own gut, follow your own intuition, follow your own what you feel about this. But my experience is that I remember where Jesus said, "Father." Matter of fact, by the way, for those who are counting the ums, I didn't do the M, but I did have the twice, and I'm aware of it. But anyway, I am remembering when I do meditation, when I think about it, I am recalling when Jesus prayed in the garden before he had died. He said, "Father, I pray that they would be one as you and I are one." And I pray that they would do this. Also, another place where he talked about his disciples, sending them out two by two. He says, "Listen, if you are arrested and brought before the city officials and the religious leaders of the town, don't worry about what you'll say. The words will be given to you at that time." Where is that coming from? It's the Spirit of God will be within you, and you'll be connected within, and the words will be given and prompted. And he said, "What you hear in the dark, say in the light." And he actually specifically said, "What you hear me say." And what I believe that means for me is that Jesus taught his disciples how to pray, not just the Lord's Prayer that we see in the Bible, but how to meditate, how to go within and experience this oneness with the Father and with him. And so if you go into your closet and pray anything you ask for in my name or in union with me, he says, if you're ever worried, burdened, come to me and I will give you rest for your soul. Come to me. You'll find that if you are in union or yoked with me, you will find that my burden is light and I will give you rest. That, in my mind, is transcendental meditation right off the top of my head. Love it. Thank you for the question. All right. I've been doing this live stream. I have been doing it for an hour and 28 minutes. This was great. I am thrilled. Oh, you know what? Leo needs to come up. Leo says, "I have to get some screen time on your live stream." He's been very, very good sitting on my couch here in my studio. Oh, big yawn. Thank you for the kiss. This is Leo, everyone. He is my pup, and I love him. He is loved more than you can possibly imagine. But this has been so much fun here on live stream. When I started this today, I'm like, I wonder if anybody will show up. I wonder if I'll get any questions. And it turned out really well. I hope if you've been here from the beginning that you've enjoyed this conversation, this entire piece of content. If you are interested in reaching out to me to let me know, I would love to. Obviously, you can leave a comment. But beyond that, here's what I'd love to ask. If you're either watching live or and I'm looking for something here, so give me just a second. Oh, there was email me. That's what I most would love. I would most love to hear from you via a personal email. My email address is right there, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. And if you email me, just put live stream in the subject line and share with me what your thoughts were. It doesn't matter if you're watching this live or if you're watching this replay 3-4 weeks from now, 3-4 months from now, 3-4 years from now, 3-4 decades from now. If I'm still alive, which I intend to be, I hope to be, God willing, email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. That will probably still be my email address. Many blessings to you all, and until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.